All right, here we go. Have fun. Hey, everybody. Happy Thursday. Another day, another training. So, as you guys come on, please do say hi, first and foremost, and where you are tuning in from. Again, grateful to have everybody here again this week. Been a very fulfilling week for me. I think I typically do these workshops with Nancy, and I've gone this kind of rogue, just myself and Christy kind of doing this, and it's just been really, really fun. And I hope you guys have enjoyed it as much as I have, just because this has been such just an awesome, awesome thing. Um, Now, as I always like to do, just a couple things. We have a lot to cover today. We're going to be covering what I'm calling the anatomy of um, becoming a thought leader on LinkedIn with your content. So when I talk about, the anatomy, it is the breakdown of how you should be doing your content. And I'm not going to go, I would say, too deep with this just because there's so many different forms of content. Um, there's video content, there is polls, there's newsletters, there's articles, there's documents, there's templates, there's posts, there's picture posts. I mean, so much. And we're going to cover some of that, but I'm going to give you the anatomy of a very simplistic format that you guys can follow. Now, before we dive in, um, as we've done the previous 3 days, let's, really set the tone and obviously the mindset for today's training. And let's pop into the chat. And if you guys could share one thing that you are grateful for today, drop that in the chat. And for me, as I stated, with you guys yesterday, Taylor graduated 5th grade. He's going to be going into middle school now. So we got to celebrate last night. We have a really, really fun Father's Day planned. My grandfather is still with us. He is 95 years young. And so there's going to be a generational brunch. Myself, Taylor, my dad, and my grandfather. So the 4 men are going to be going out for brunch, and that's something special. So that's 95 years old to 11 years old hanging out. So that is what I am most grateful for today. So as we kind of roll through this, and we've gone over obviously some of the nuances of optimizing your LinkedIn profile and connecting with some of the right people. And I know a bunch of you already started messaging people. So just drop a Y or a yes if you guys sent out your first batch of new messages. Awesome. Awesome. And it doesn't matter if it's one message or 5 messages, but just remember, five is a good number every day. Don't go over 10. And just I'm a big numbers person. So if you're sending 5 messages a day, you can expect as things start to ramp up, 1 out of every 5 to respond. And if you're doing that every day, you're booking 5 calls a week, 20 calls a month, then it starts happening. That's what it's all about. So now moving into the content creation portion of LinkedIn. Scale of 1 to 10, 10 being you have your content on lockdown, 0, you need a ton of help. Where would you guys rate yourselves on a scale of 1 to 10? Okay, so I'm seeing some zeros, some ones, some twos. Okay. Now, the interesting thing about LinkedIn when it comes to content, I don't know if you guys saw my LinkedIn live this morning. I saw a few of you pop on there this morning. I went over, um, I went over like the things to kind of avoid and not fall into the traps on LinkedIn. And a lot of it had to do with what we talked about yesterday with the automation and engagement pods is another big no-no. And I'm not sure if you guys are, how many of you are familiar with engagement pods? Why or yes and or no? And I can kind of explain to you what they are. Okay. Either way, I'm going to explain to you what they are. Also, don't forget tomorrow we're doing that hybrid training. We're doing a little bit of training Q&A. So Christy's going to drop in the chat the Q&A form. It'll also be emailed out later today as well, and I'll post it in the Facebook group. But I think 7 or 8 of you have already pre-submitted some questions, which is awesome. So you click on that link, it'll open up a form, fill it out later, and you can, pre-submit any questions that you have. So an engagement pod, and again, there are multiple feels to this. There's people that feel like it's not a big deal, but in essence, it's forced engagement. So let me kind of paint a picture for you. Some of them are free, some of them are paid. So a free one would be like, 15 to 20 industry experts coming together and say, hey, let's beat the LinkedIn algorithm. All of us are going to post every morning at 8 a.m. and we're going to go through our feed and we're going to like and comment on each other's posts. All right. In essence, that sounds great because you're supporting each other, but it's what's called forced engagement, meaning you're not even reading the post. You're just trying to beat the algorithm. And here's where it gets a little fishy. When people are looking at your content and they see the same 15 comments every single day, it's like the same people, no new people, it's the same thing. People, like, again, we talk about that smell test. People can smell that from a mile away. In the same essence, there's also paid ones where people will pay $100, $200, $300 a month to pay for engagement on LinkedIn. And it looks suspicious. So my big thing is this, and I just want you guys to adopt this mindset and its principle. There's content that I put out on LinkedIn that catches on like wildfire. And there's content that I put out there that is literally crickets. Like no one is engaging. So you have to understand there's close to 1 billion people now on LinkedIn. And even though a very small percentage of people are posting daily, and I think it's around 1 to 2% post daily, which again is like 100 to 200,000 people. Still, that's 200,000 pieces of content a day going out. So there's only so much bandwidth for people to kind of engage. So my whole thing is this. I don't care how many likes and comments show up. If one person, and this is, I share this all the time, something that my dad told me when I was a little kid. He said, Scott, when one person says something, there's 9 others that feel the same exact way. They just haven't stepped up and voiced it. So I use that concept along with your LinkedIn content. So there may be one person that it likes and comments, but there's a whole handful of others that what Nancy and I call passive engagers. They read it and they scroll past it. They read it, they scroll past it. So some people don't take action, and that's okay. So I don't want you guys, exactly, the lurkers, I don't want you to fall into that trap that you're doing things for engagement. You're doing things to leave people better on LinkedIn. So I always talk about being a person of value, right? Doing things without expecting anything back in return. And that's what we're going to go over, the core principles of today. I also want to thank the 17 individuals that already have booked calls to learn about the fast track to getting more success on LinkedIn with some of the patented programs that I have. And as promised, we're going to go into deeper context about, what next steps could look like for those that would like more out of this, out of me, and obviously out of the results on LinkedIn. So if you guys are ready to dive into day number 4, going over your LinkedIn content, drop a Y or a yes in the chat. Awesome. All right, I am going to share my screen, and as always, I'm going to talk you through it. I am going to hide the video panel. I'm going to click present. And then after this shows up, please, if you could drop into the chat why or yes, if you can see my screen. Awesome. Beautiful. Now, here's what I'll also say. I want to give props to each and every one of you. And here's why. And again, you can do a mental pat on the back. You can do a physical pat on your back right now, but you should. And here's why. On day number 1, we had 162 people on here. 162. On day number 2, we had 131. Yesterday, we had 110. And today, we have 80. Which means half the people went somewhere else. You know, maybe they crawled into their hermit shell, as Nancy talks about. But I want all of you to be recognized for the commitment that you have, not to me, but to yourselves, for learning all the necessary foundational steps of getting started on LinkedIn. Because again, you could be anywhere this week. Now, some people may be watching on the replay, but that's completely fine. But every single one of us makes time for what's most important to us. Now, going back to something that I talked about with you guys yesterday, what's the most valuable commodity we have? Our time. The time that one gives and the time that one receives. So if I'm showing up every day, you're showing up every day. Now, and that's a choice, but I just want to commend each and every one of you that has decided to continue to spend every single day with me here, because it means so much. You know, again, I'm not focused on the numbers. Would I have liked to seen all 161 people stay? Sure. And I know that's not a reflection on me. They have prior commitments, but you are here, and I want each and every one of you recognized. And I just wanted to take that short moment just to recognize all of you for your dedication to this. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. So again, don't forget, make sure that if you have not joined the private Facebook group, please join the private Facebook group. There will be another accountability assignment today. It's the final one. This will be, obviously, there'll be 2 more prizes announced tomorrow, 2 at the end of today. Again, there'll be more reminders going out. Yeah, the Facebook group, that private Facebook group, that group continues. All of when I do my 2 workshops a year, I use the same group, so that group will continue. Yes. The replays will not. They come down on Monday at 9 p.m. As far as the accountability, remember, go into the group. It'll say day 4, Scott's day 4 accountability thread. Post your assignment there. Or you can always just send an email to my support email, support@scottaaron.net. So again, positioning yourself as the thought leader through your content. So interestingly enough, I like going back to see what people said. And, you know, one of the questions in the LinkedIn scorecard was how you felt about the content that you were creating. And a lot of the big takeaways that I took away from that were some people had, you know, a fear of posting or not sure what they should be posting. They were also feeling like there was a lack of income, so they didn't really want to put themselves out there. Poor time management, no systems in place, overwhelm, not sure where to start, lack of confidence, difficulty finding clients, lack of knowledge, lack of focus. So if you guys can resonate with any or all of these, just drop a Y or a yes in the chat. Now, the idea is understanding, well, you know, is your LinkedIn strategy working? You know, are you feeling stuck in your routine without seeing results? And I think that's the big thing. I shared a couple wins with you guys yesterday, about the speaking engagements. I had a couple more wins already today. I had 2 referrals come in. And that's why I continue to practice what I preach. It's time for a strategy that works, not just busy work. And I think that's the one big thing that we really need to differentiate is the fact that it's not about staying busy. It's about doing things that are productive, not just saying, well, I did X, Y, and Z. And you really want, and this is what Nancy and I do every single day, we actually assess how each of our day's efforts align with our goals. And that's something that I suggest all of you guys to do. Like, are the things you're working on, are they aligned with your business goals? Or are you kind of just throwing spaghetti at the wall? But also, when you master your time, you truly master your success. So how many of you, why or a yes, do you feel that you need to do better focusing on the time that you're spending on the right activities? Yeah. And the fact is, and you guys have heard this quote before, we all get the same 24 hours in a day. But are we choosing to use it the right way? Are we leveraging our time for maximum impact? And the one big thing that Nancy and I always come back to, and what I would suggest all of you to do, is really visualize the life and business you want. Like, visualize even just 90 days from now. Like, where would you want it to be? Where would you want your business to be 90 days from now? How many leads would you want to be generating each and every week? How many sales would you like to be closing every single month? A very straightforward business fact, and this is something that I want you guys to really kind of like tuck inside of you, is that effective routines and systems are the keys to consistent profitability. And I want you to read that last point again. Effective routines and systems are the keys to consistent profitability. Think about anything that we've done, anything that needs to get done. So I always talk about, God, this is like, I don't know why this is coming to the surface now. But I used to use one of my favorite things that my mom used to make when I was a kid was chicken parmesan. It's one of my favorite meals. Anyway, I used to use that as the example about routines and systems, right? If there are ingredients and recipes for a reason, if you guys can agree with that, just drop a Y or a yes in the chat. You need a recipe that has ingredients. So what happens if we leave the cheese out of the chicken parmesan recipe? We basically just have breaded chicken with marinara sauce on top. That's it. And the fact of the matter is, we need to have effective routines and systems that will lead to consistency and profitability in our businesses. Now, some of the facts that I really want you guys to, and this is all leading into content and everything that I do for and with clients. Focused action changes everything. Type me, M-E, in the chat if you feel that you need more consistent leads. Well, the fact, and this is a humble brag, if I can say that, there is not a day or a week that goes by where I am not generating new leads. Now, I will parlay that by letting all of you know, anyone that I currently work with or have worked with in either a virtual or done for you capacity also never runs out of leads. And you don't have to struggle alone. We're in this together. That's the whole thing. We're in this together. I have specific shortcuts to your business and its success story, but also to keep you up to date on LinkedIn. Type a Y or a yes if you feel that it's hard to keep up with all of the rapid changes of social media. Yeah. I mean, it could be totally overwhelming. That's the point of having a reference point, but also a resource like me that knows ahead of time what's going on so you don't have to figure it out. That's the big thing. Now, when you simplify everything that you're doing, it allows you to amplify your business. Complexity isn't the answer. Simplicity in the strategy is. If you guys can resonate with that, just drop a Y or a yes in the chat. Complexity is not the answer. Simplicity in the strategy is. And you guys can see, even though we've just scratched the surface on the capabilities of LinkedIn, like literally, you guys are just on the foundational level. Like there's other levels that are also super simple that people don't realize, but look at all of the positive progress already on level 1. Just imagine what you can uncover in level 2 and level 3 and level 4 that are still just as simple as level 1. But it's also important to connect with a coach who mirrors your business vision and success. I want every single one of you to be exactly where I am right now. Nothing would make me prouder. Nothing would make me happier. Nothing. Nothing would make me happier and prouder to have each and every one of you exactly where I am right now. That's what I want for every single one of you. Just imagine having a thriving business using LinkedIn, only having to spend 20 to 30 minutes a day on the platform. So if that sounds good to everyone, just drop a Y or a yes in the chat. Just imagine having a thriving business using LinkedIn, only having to spend 20 to 30 minutes a day on the platform. So I was that person working a busy schedule, trading time for dollars. I needed systems to scale. I needed insight on how to earn consistent revenue in my business using LinkedIn, but I wasn't sure how to break that next level of growth. But luckily for all of you and myself, I figured it out. And that's part of what we've been going over today. So if everybody is clear so far, just drop a Y or a yes in the chat. So the keys to your success, when you make a post, and again, I'm going to give you, I call it the anatomy of a post. And I'm going to give you, it's a 5-step breakdown at the end of today's training. I'm going to break down the 5 key points, and then I'm going to show you an example of what those 5 key points look like as a post so you guys can duplicate it yourself. So if that's clear and if that makes sense, just drop a Y or a yes in the chat. Just want to make sure you guys are with me. Awesome. So I call this the 3 R's. When you make a post, it should be relevant, relatable, and real. 3 R's. So just write that down, the 3 R's. And just remember, relevant, relatable, and real. You want to make it something that your ideal audience is likely to resonate with. So remember, we talked about something earlier this week called the passenger side perspective, right? Always, when you are creating content on LinkedIn, you want to put yourself in the shoes of your ideal client. Now, ideally, I would say in the very beginning, you want to post about 3 times a week. So there are 2 different options. So the first option is what I call the bookend options: Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So your bookends, right? So you got a Monday post, a Friday post, and a Wednesday sandwiched in between. Okay. So you can choose to do something on Monday, Wednesday, or Friday. So if that's clear, just drop a number 1 in the chat. Just to make sure you guys are with me so far. Now, you guys are going to start with just one post. That's from today, but you can choose a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The secondary option is what I call it's basically the LinkedIn suggested posting methodology, leaving out Monday and Friday. And this is some people's theory. I'm not aligned with it. You know, I like the Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I like getting in front of people at the beginning of the week and at the end of the week. There are people that counteract that by saying, well, Monday, people are kind of getting back into the swing of work, so they're not really engaging, which I believe is false. And they're like, well, Friday, they're thinking about, you know, happy hour at the bar, so they're not even interested in anything work related, which also I believe is false because certain business professionals are always looking for relevant content. So whether you choose Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, completely up to you. So if you guys are clear, just drop a Y or a yes in the chat. Yeah, I post on the weekends as well, but that's, I would say, level 2, level 3, but I like people starting with foundationally with a couple posts every single week. Now, you are in the business of solving problems for people. So let your post reflect whether they are specific to your business or not. You want to make sure that you are solving people's problems. Don't make every post about your business. This is the one thing that people really, struggle with, is that you don't want to sell and pitch in your content. Being overly promotional, it's a huge turnoff. And how many of you, drop a Y or a yes, if you guys have seen these overly promotional posts and you're like, ugh, yuck, I don't want to engage with that. If you don't want to engage with that, you don't want to create it either, right? You don't want to create what you don't like to engage with. I like to post engaging material to bring my audience closer to me and then acknowledge anyone that likes and comments with maybe a private message. These can be conversation starters, just like your daily searches and messages strive to do. You, again, be seen as a person of value, and I want you guys to kind of lean into that. So I want you to type in the chat, I am a person of value. Type in the chat, I am a person of value. If you adopt that principle, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. Like because it takes so much pressure off of you when you realize that, like, you know what, I can do this. I'm just going to be a person of value. Now, you want to make sure that your posts do one of two things. Number one, you want to make sure that your content educates your audience on something they need to know. Now, what I'll tell you is every single one of us, depending upon the industry or the profession that we are in, we know the areas of struggle that people have that we serve. If you can agree with that statement, just drop a Y or a yes in the chat. If you know who you're serving, you know what they're struggling with. You know what they need help with, and you know how you could help them. So always educate your audience on something they need to know in relation to how it's going to help them. The other thing, your content should always inform your audience of something they can do to help themselves and their businesses move forward without asking for anything back in return. You got to give in order to get. So if that makes sense, just drop a Y or a yes in the chat. So you need to educate your audience on something they need to know, or you need to inform your audience of something they can do to help themselves and their businesses move forward. That is so beyond key. And I think when each of you starts to really sit down and think, all right, well, number one, I'm a person of value, so I do have a lot to give. And number two, I could totally educate and inform my audience. And here's the thing, don't overthink the process. So a lot of people feel that if the content is too basic, it's not going to resonate. That is a false narrative. Every single one of you is an expert in some way, shape, or form because you know things about what you do that I don't know because I'm not in your industry. Or if I'm your ideal client, I only know what I know. And here's the thing that I want you guys to lean on. To be considered an expert, you just have to know a little bit more than someone else. To be considered an expert, you have to not just know a little bit more than someone else. If that's clear and if that makes sense, just drop a Y or a yes in the chat. Awesome. And I got to see what happened here. It looks like there's a drawing on here. Hold on for 1 second. I am going to see if I can clear these. Yes, there we go. Awesome. Cleared them. Got it. Okay. Now, other things that you want to ask yourselves, and these are in your workbook. So when you start to think about, okay, well, what kind of content should I be talking about? You know, if I'm going to create a post, if I'm going to share a video, right? If I'm going to do a LinkedIn live training, if I'm going to start a newsletter or whatever the case may be. You know, these are 6 great questions to ask yourself that will help you fill in the gaps. So thinking about, you know, what does my network need to hear? Not what do I want to talk about it? And I think that's the big thing. It's taking it off of you and your agenda and putting it onto the shoulders of the people that you want to serve. You want to be a servant leader, right? So if that makes sense, drop a Y or a yes in the chat. You know, what does my network need to hear? That's number 1. Number 2, what does my network need to know? You know, you always want to bring people into the know. There was a change to creator mode a few weeks back. And I 100% knew that most of my network did not know. So what do you think I did? I jumped on there and I did a LinkedIn live training on it. You know, the changes, where you can find it, this, that, or the other. I wanted to keep my network in the know. The other thing is that, you know, what does my network want to learn most about? And this is where a lot of market research comes into play. And just to kind of share something with you, I'm part of my DIY and done with you paths that people can choose to go down. I have found the secret with LinkedIn groups. I don't know how I figured it out, but I did. And just to kind of give you a 10,000 foot view, I posted a poll question in one of these groups. It was a sales group, and mostly all of them blew up, but this one in particular got almost 1,000 votes, and over 30,000 impressions. And my following blew up. I mean, I gained a few hundred followers. So as far as like the polls and stuff, that's, again, we're going over the foundations and stuff today. The additional stuff, it's I don't want to overwhelm all of you, but I'm just giving you an example. When you do market research on LinkedIn, you know, remember what I said earlier, questions lead to answers, right? So when you ask a question, you get an answer. That's the market research that you need. That's what you can learn about what your network wants to know about. So if that's clear and if that makes sense, drop a Y or a yes in the chat. But also thinking about, you know, what is my network's biggest pain points? So I know for a fact that some of my network's biggest pain points are A, they're not generating enough leads. B, they're not closing enough sales. C, they're not taking advantage of the specific SEO keywords that they can put all throughout their profile and the hidden spots to put them in. And D, they're not taking advantage of all the multiple resources that LinkedIn has to offer. So I know a lot of those things. So I'm always open to put it out there and asking people like, do you know how to customize your Facebook URL, right? Do you know how to create a LinkedIn event? Do you know how to collect emails from your LinkedIn profile? Do you know how to close sales on all those little things? But also focusing on the struggles. So remember, I used that drawbridge analogy the other day, right? We want to lower the drawbridge. That same concept can be applied to the struggles that your network has, in the sense that you want to make sure that when you are creating content on LinkedIn, you're speaking to the struggle, but you're providing a solution for it. Just enough of a solution where it keeps them engaged and coming back for more. You want to give them some of the keys to the castle, but not all of them. If that makes sense, just drop a Y or a yes in the chat. You want to speak to the struggle and give them a starting solution. The last thing that you want to think about is what content would best position me as a value-added resource. So again, that content could be a high-volume newsletter. That could be a monthly LinkedIn event. That could be an audio event. That could be a weekly LinkedIn Live. It could be LinkedIn micro video content. It could be long form posts up to 3,000 characters. It could be general articles. It could be any of those things. But you really need to think about these 6 questions when you want to position yourself as a thought leader on LinkedIn. Now, the one thing that we're going to do, and I told you at the end, we're going to go over the anatomy of a LinkedIn post. But I'm going to give you right now kind of like a basic framework, right? So what are the different posts that you can do? So remember, we talked about Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So this is just an example of and again, in my DIY, my do-it-yourself course and my done for you, done with you program, I actually help each person with their posts, how all this should be structured, creating the content, everything. But just an example is on Monday or Tuesday, you can post an informative or educational video. 2 to 4 minutes is optimal, but people can do 30 to 60 seconds if you want. But it should be giving some tangible, educational, and information-based tips. Wednesday, if you wanted to create a poll question on LinkedIn, this allows you, like I mentioned before, to find out some of the pain points or an area of improvement that your network is looking to have. And then Thursday or Friday, you can go a little bit deeper. You can post a long form piece of content, up to 3,000 characters. You can do an informational, educational based article or even a newsletter. So I've grown my newsletter. I started it almost 2 years ago. I have 8,200 subscribers now on my LinkedIn newsletter. And I show people how to obviously ramp that up, because that becomes a lead magnet. I mean, literally, I have clients that create sales just off of their weekly LinkedIn newsletter. It's unbelievable how impactful those pieces of content are. So if everybody is clear on this basic example, just drop a Y or a yes in the chat. Because again, going back to something that we said earlier, we want to be a person of value. So when we talk about the anatomy of a post and the breakdown, I just want to shift gears just for a quick moment. And if you could share in the chat, what's been the biggest needle mover for you so far? Like, what's really just opened your heart, your eyes, your mind to everything that we've covered so far? And I know, I've tried to keep things. Thank you. Well, I'm glad this is simple. Like, I wanted to keep things, the systems for, I wanted to keep things as simple as possible for everyone. And again, that's how we create traction. That's how we create results. right? Now, by just typing the word me in the chat, before you do that, I just want to preface this. If this week has been very impactful, but also it's, I would say, stirred up something inside of you where you're like, you know what? I know this has been really great and it's really helped me, but I'm ready for more. I know there's a next level. I know I can do more with this. And if you feel that you are ready for more, type the word more in the chat. MORE if you're ready for more. Because the fact is that, as I mentioned to you guys a few minutes ago, I want every single one of you to be where I am. Going back, during the workshop, people get excited, but then when it's over, we fail to implement, right? We end up sliding back into maybe some of our inconsistencies. The routines that we learned, if there's a lack of accountability on our own parts, they fall apart, and then we end up not being committed. And the reality is that there's a lot of things that really come into play, whether that's something that's fear-based, whether that's, not having consistent income each and every week, which I help people with, poor time management, having simplistic systems, being overwhelmed, not sure where to start, gaining confidence, not finding clients, lack of knowledge, lack of focus. If you guys can resonate with any of those, just drop a Y or a yes in the chat. Well, it doesn't have to be that way. Like, I've been there. I mean, there was, everyone sees where we are now. It wasn't always like that. Like, that's the one thing that I want all of you to know and realize is that everywhere I am now, I've been every place that all of you have been. I've seen the highs of highs and the lows of lows, and I've had to work through all that. But part of what I like doing is facilitating streamlined efforts where people can skip over the difficult parts. They can skip over the trials and tribulations. They can skip over all of those parts, the icky, just struggle bus parts of business that people should not spend doing. I want to alleviate that. So I get questions all the time, and a few of you actually emailed me, is there continued education and support? And there is. Like, this is not the end. Like, this is just the workshop, but this is not the end. I built out something, what I wish existed when I started building and growing my business on LinkedIn. And that is the honest to God truth. I am so grateful every single day that I took the diligent notes that I did of what was and what was not working, because I just want all of you to imagine, just for a second, like, imagine having access to a patented strategy to generate leads and being able to stick to it because you have a daily order of operation. Imagine being consistent and committed every single day. It takes 66 days to create a lasting habit. Imagine being consistent for 66 days and never stopping your business. Imagine everything ramping up. Imagine having systems and support in place. If that would feel good to all of you, just drop a Y or a yes in the chat. Like, just imagine that. Like, that's what's possible. But also imagine, and these are all truths. And like, my mom always told me growing up, I know I use a lot of analogies from my parents, but they were very impactful on me. My mom always still says facts are friendly, right? So everything that I've been going over with you this week, but everything that we're talking about right now, they're factual. With my help, you're never going to run out of leads. You will learn how to create consistent revenue on a monthly basis. You will then have people reaching out to you to speak at events, to be on podcasts, for coaching, for consulting, to buy what it is that you're offering. Those are things that I can promise you. But also, in the end, making more money. We are for-profit businesses. So if that's clear and if that makes sense, drop a Y or a yes in the chat. Again, we give so much, but we're for-profit businesses. We want to help people, but what we have is of significant offers. So I just wanted to officially announce that the doors to my LinkedIn Accelerator program are open. Now, this is a program that is solely focused on mastering LinkedIn for business professionals, service-based business owners, running an online business. Maybe you're a speaker, a podcaster, an author, a coach, a consultant. That's what this program is. And in this accelerator program, you will be more organized. You will generate more consistent income. You will generate more leads. You're going to feel confident with your daily actions. You're going to minimize your stress and you're going to love what you're doing. You know why? Because it's working. You're going to stay focused and stay connected because I'm going to be there with you. So the questions that I've gotten this week are, what does this look like? Well, here's the good thing. The good thing is you actually have two paths to choose. And this is the first time I'm actually offering these two paths because I wanted to make sure that people were very clear about what path is best for them, where they can continue to take the baton and run. So if that's clear so far, just drop a Y or a yes in the chat. You know, this is not a one size fits all. I wanted people to have a specific path. Now, there's two paths. So how many, type me if you're a DIY person. You're just a do-it-yourself. You want a plug-and-play system and you want to just run and go. All right. So for all the DIYers, I have a patented system. It's 9 video modules that take under 3 hours to go through. So this is for the person that just wants to get going and doesn't need hand holding. They just want to learn exactly what they need to do. And the good thing about that is you can go through it as many times as you want. I think someone is unmuted. I think I can do it real quick. I think I got it. Okay, good. I got it. And if you guys can, I think you guys can still hear me, correct? You guys can hear me? Drop a Y or a yes. Okay, good. Perfect. Now, the great thing about the DIY LinkedIn Accelerator program course is you can go through it as many times as you want. It's updated on a yearly basis. And you have full email support for questions as you go through it. So just to kind of give you guys a visual breakdown of the DIY course. Module 1, you're shown how to SEO optimize your profile from top to bottom, start to finish, left to right. Module 2, what groups to join so you can maximize it. 3, building your connections of network within your network, whether it's an ideal client or power partner. Messaging a new connection. Sales call structure and follow-up. Posts, gratitude messages and notification messages. Native and live video, newsletter, and articles. The analytics that you should be looking at. Poll questions, collaborative articles. And then finally, Module 9 is setting up your LinkedIn event. So again, this takes under 3 hours. So if you are that person that just wants to dive in and you just want to like plug and play, it's there. Christy just dropped the link. You can grab it right now. And someone asked me on a side chat, you know, are there different pay options? Yes. Both paths that I'm going over with you guys, there is a paid in full option and there is a payment plan option. So I can accommodate both. So there's literally anyone can jump into this. So for both the DIY and what I'm about to show you next, there are payment plan options and paid in full options, whatever suits all of you best. So if you're that person that just wants the DIY course, you want to do it yourself, you want to have lifetime access to it, you want to grab and go, that's the link for it. Now, what I'm really excited about is actually for the first time ever, For the first time ever, I am launching a 12-week personalized and private group coaching program. It's with me. It's 10 to 15 people. There's actually already a few people that have already signed up, so welcome. I will be announcing your names later this week. So this is for the people who want personal touch. These are the people that want personal guidance and they want a lot of accountability. So this is for the people that want me to individually show them how they should be SEO optimizing their profile. So I gratefully worked with a tech company where I have access to a LinkedIn profile optimization tool that I use for all of my one-to-one or group coaching clients to show them. This works for B2B and B2C companies. Yes, this works. So whether you're in B2B or B2C, this works for both. And that's why if you're looking for more personalized assistance, because I don't do consulting anymore, but Nancy, really nudged me. She goes, people need your help. Why don't you put together a small group program? And that's exactly what this is. So we work together for 12 weeks, as a group, 10 to 15 people, and each person gets my personal touch and guidance and accountability. So every single week that we meet, I will spend one-on-one time with each person in the group to make sure that they're given their own path of success. I will save time at the end of every single Zoom for questions, and you'll be able to watch back the recordings of what we do together over those 12 weeks for 6 months. So if that's clear so far between the DIY and the done for you, drop a Y or a yes in the chat. Now, just to reiterate, type the word me in the chat if you feel that whether it's the DIY or the done with you and done for you would be beneficial to you and your business and taking you to the next level. So type the word me if you feel. So this is what I really want. And let me just finish with the done with you and done for you. So this is, I do this for you and I do this with you. So the way that the group coaching program works is it is from June 24th to September 9th. We meet on Mondays from 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern. It's live and recorded. And I had the question come up before, what if I can't make one or two of the calls? You let me know ahead of time what call you can't make, and I will shoot a Loom video or a private Zoom video giving you your custom path so you know exactly what needs to be done. So if that's clear and if that makes sense, drop a Y or a yes in the chat. So say you can't make the profile one or you can't make, the nurture one. You let me know ahead of time and I got you covered. But I will personally SEO optimize each person's profile. I will show each person on these group calls who they specifically should be connecting with based on their business, their ideal client, their power partner, and I will give you an example sales call for each person. I will give each person example messages to send to book more sales calls. So like, even though we went over the framework, I will give you an example. Every single person in the group program will get an example message. I will help each person create a post for their specific network and business. And then we go over creating polls together, doing short form video, long form LinkedIn live video. If you don't have a newsletter set up, I help you set it up right then and there. If you have one set up, I help you refine it. I will help each person create a monthly LinkedIn event for client acquisition, sales, and email list building. If this sounds great so far, just drop a Y or a yes in the chat. If there's any aspect of LinkedIn that you've always wondered how to leverage and how to utilize, well, I got you covered. Like, you're not like your business will go to the next level. I help each person get the top community voice badge, showing you how to leverage collaborative articles, the best way to nurture their network of connections for more sales calls, how to create and upload documents, and even the mobile app templates. And then obviously a full recap in week 11, and week 12, prior 11 weeks, and Q&A. Now, whether you do the DIY or the done for you and done with you, each person gets a LinkedIn daily checklist, so you're held accountable. Each person will get some ChatGPT prompts for poll questions, newsletters, and content strategy, private email support, but also each person will get bonus access to my content creation course. So in the chat right now, you will have 3 different links. You'll have a link if you want to jump into the DIY program. You'll have a link to grab one of the remaining seats in the group coaching program. Or if you want to schedule a call to talk first about what path is going to be best for you, you can always schedule a call on my calendar. So Christy's going to drop those 3 links in the chat. One is for the DIY path, one is for the group coaching path, and the last is going to be for my calendar so you can book a call. So right there, again, the DIY course, private group coaching, and if you want to talk about what path is best, then you can grab a link on my calendar. And again, I told you 17 people already booked calls. The group coaching is only going to be 10 to 15 people max. The DIY, again, as many as you want to join, you can. And just know that these bonuses that you're looking on the screen right now are only being offered until Monday at 9 p.m. So the Accelerator DIY course is a standalone program, but all of these additional things are being included just for this week. So if you guys are clear on all of this so far, please drop a Y or a yes in the chat. Now, I don't want you guys to lose momentum. So if you feel having a lead gen and sales strategy in your pocket at all times, then again, you're going to get that. I am your lead gen and sales process, whether that's the DIY course where you can plug and play, or if you're looking for more personal one-on-one time and attention from me for you and your business, that would be the done for you, done with you private group coaching program. So the doors to both of those are open until Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the same time that the replays come down, that is when the doors close. So I just wanted to obviously get you out there. So again, you're going to gain clarity, you're going to gain visibility, and you're going to gain a ton of accountability. Now, again, secure your spot. I want to see every single one of you soar and get to that next level, and then we can do it together. So if everybody is clear so far on what next steps are with me, just drop a Y or a yes in the chat. Awesome. Beautiful. Now, quickly before we finish, I want to just go over the last few minutes for the anatomy of a post. So there are 5 keys to crafting a proper LinkedIn post. So number 1, a catchy headline or topic. So number 1, always start with a catchy headline or topic. It could be like, 3 keys to generating leads on LinkedIn. So if that's clear and if that makes sense, just drop a number 1 in the chat. Beautiful. Okay, good. So start with a catchy headline. Number 2, give personal context with what you're talking about so the audience resonates with you. So what you want to do is you want to bridge the gap, right? You want to bridge the gap between your topic and you want to relate yourself to it. So if I was using that analogy of, 3 tips to generate leads on LinkedIn, I can then say, over the years, many people have struggled generating leads on LinkedIn, including me, but I have found that these 3 specific things have helped me most. So if that's clear and if that makes sense, type in number 2 in the chat. Type in number 2 in the chat. Awesome. The third thing is then you give those 2 to 4 tangible tips, right? Number 1, do this. Number 2, do this. Number 3, do this. So you're prefacing your post with that little catchy headline. You're giving the personal context, linking back to that catchy headline. And then you're giving your tangible tips. Number one, do this. Number two, do this. Number three, do this. So if that's clear so far, type in number 3 in the chat. Catchy headline, bring it back to you, give your tangible tips. Then finish with a CTA for engagement. So people always ask, Scott, how do I get more engagement? How do I get more engagement? Ask, what did you resonate most with? Drop it in the comments below. If you want people to engage, you have to ask them to engage. Ask the person to engage. And then you want to close with 3 topic related hashtags. So like hashtag leads, hashtag LinkedIn, hashtag LinkedIn tips. They should relate. 3 is the magic number. So if everybody is clear on that, drop a number 4 in the chat. Just want to make sure. So you start with a catchy headline or topic, give personal context, give your tips, finish with your question to engage, and then close with 3 topics that are related. So here's an example, right? This new LinkedIn restriction will make the platform better. Many people have been complaining about all the spam messages and notes attached to a connection request for years. Well, I have some good news to report. LinkedIn has now restricted how many connection notes you can send monthly. This is a great thing for many reasons. Brings up the question, when should I add a note? Number 1, if you know the person. Number 2, if you are referenced to connect. Number 3, make a reference as to how you found them. Are you happy or sad with the LinkedIn that has added this restriction? Hashtag LinkedIn, hashtag LinkedIn tips, hashtag LinkedIn business. So there's my catchy title. There's my relatable connection point. So I'm linking it back to my title. There are my tangible tips. There is my call to action to engage in the comments below. And there are my hashtags. So if that's clear, and if that makes sense, drop a Y or a yes in the chat. Now, someone side messaged me and asked what kind of results people could expect from either the DIY or the done for you, done with you. Whatever path you end up choosing, the word that I like to use is explosive. If you've enjoyed the results that you've gotten so far, once you get under the kimono of what I do and what my system is, because we haven't even scratched the surface, you will be blown away. Your business will change in a very short amount of time. I can make that promise. So again, there are 2 paths to go down. There was a couple other questions. So how long does it take to go through the DIY course? Around 2 hours and 45 minutes is the DIY course. And just remember, with the done for you, you also get access to the DIY course as a bonus. And again, I did answer that one question. What if I can't make one of the group call sessions? They're recorded, but if you let me know ahead of time of what call you can't make, I will pre-record a private video for you addressing what you specifically need to do based on your business. So if everybody is clear on that, just drop a Y or a yes in the chat. Just want to make sure you guys are clear. And again, just a couple things just to finish off. Christy's going to drop in the chat one last time. Again, the 2 paths, the DIY course that you can jump into right away, but the bonuses are only available until Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern. The done for you, done with you group coaching program, only 10 to 15 spots. A few have already been taken, but if you would like to talk about what path is best for you, grab a time on my calendar. I do have a couple slots open to tomorrow and on Monday. So you got to get on my calendar before Monday night at 9 p.m. To decide what path is best for you. So your homework is to create a post on LinkedIn. And all you have to do is go to the Facebook group at the top where it says, day 4 homework thread. All you have to do is just type in the comments, I made a post on LinkedIn. You can actually share the link to your post or just take a screenshot of your post and drop it in there. So the cost is on the sales pages, so you can check that out. They're both on those sales pages. So whether it's the DIY or the group program, all prices are listed on the sales pages. And again, there are, just to answer that one other question, there are paid in full options and there are monthly payment options as well. So you do not have to pay in full if you don't want to. You have multiple payment options, just so I can meet everybody where they are. And no matter whether you decide to start with the DIY or the done for you, done with you, there's something for everyone. There is not one person in there. There is going to be a path that you can go down if you are ready to really unlock the power and potential of what you're looking to achieve. So all you have to do is either take a screenshot of your post or just type in the comments, I posted on LinkedIn, and that will qualify you for the day 4 homework prize. So if everybody is clear on that, please do drop a Y or a yes in the chat. Just want to make sure. Okay. 2 homework winners. The 2 homework winners. Maxwell Hoffman and Wilma Anderson, you are the 2 winners from day number 3. So you'll be getting those after we are all done. Just remember, there'll be 1 more accountability assignment winners tomorrow. And also, please don't forget, I'll be sending out the Q&A form. So we're going to be doing half training, half Q&A tomorrow. The replays come down at 9 p.m. on Monday. And again, if you're wondering, how can I continue your journey with me? You guys have the paths to choose from now. You have your DIY option. You have your done for you and done with you option. If you're looking to ramp up, if you're looking to really, really take your business to the next level, it would make me so beyond happy to get my hands on what you're doing, to really show you what needs to be done to get your business to the next level. So again, head over to the group, post your homework when it's all done. I will see you guys same time, same place tomorrow for our day number 5. So love and gratitude to each and every one of you.